Hey everyone, Nicola Light here, remembering back into my light. I hope you are all well, and I hope that these video contents will help you rise into your own light and remembering of who you truly are. So we need to sort of see who we are not to see who we are. And along that journey with the upgrading of our ego, we can perceive this reality to be very, very different from everybody's different perspectives. So please take what you feel is right for you. And if it resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Just maybe pop it on the shelf for maybe a little bit later on to enable you to start to maybe see my perspective without judgment of it. So, what is it today? As I've got my whiteboard here, I might be using that, I might not, because I'm not too sure, because a lot of the information I bring forward is very intuitive. But within my intention, there is a subject that I want to bring forward, which is the question about alcohol. And our spiritual journey and our perception of it. And I may have done a little bit of video here and there about all of this information already, but I just want to sort of go into a little bit more depth into this now moment of my perception of alcohol and how that then affects us on our ascension journey. Now, I myself, as a healer of myself and a facilitator of healing for others, is to bring in light codex or information that comes in from higher levels of consciousness, and then I express my light language forward. If you're new to my channel, you might see me work in this way, is that the light code comes forward for me to remember and ignite my light wisdom within, so I start to remember. Okay, so just observe any codes that come in because it will assist you also with your remembrance, okay? The subject of the today is about the perspective of alcohol and seeing it as being positive or energetically positive or energetically as negative. Now, when we are on our soul's journey, we start to then open up to what it is to be a spiritual being. So we are here. We're going, I'm a spiritual being. Okay. Oh, that's better. I'm spiritual. There I am. I'm a spiritual girl in a 3D world. And here I am. Bing, bang, bong. There I am, Nicola Light. Or however I perceive myself, but I just see myself as Nicola, really. The word light is just something that I come up with because it was the way it was. But anyway, we'll go into that. We have a bottle of alcohol. Okay. And when that bottle of alcohol is being made, it can be made from a sense of we're just going to knock it out, get it out there so that we can get everybody drunk because they want to have fun. They want to escape from reality. Okay, so we have a negative perspective on alcohol, which is basically it's to how do you spell escape? Escape. Just to escape from reality because I am sad and I am lonely and I'm all of that, and when I drink that bottle of wine or whatever it may be, it has this sort of like, actually makes me feel so much better because the alcohol is so good and it makes me forget. Okay, it makes me forget, right? And then we then got a positive perspective on it, which we'll go through in a minute. But also that alcohol can have a negative perspective on it with the way that it's been created. So the creation of alcohol could then be, it's like, it's like, it's mass produced. It's mass produced, and it's like the intention of it is to to mask that it's actually alcohol, and it might be sort of something that, to trick, some sort of sense of trickery. Okay, there's a sense of trickery behind it because actually we want to sell, so there's a sense of greed within it to make money, right? So that produce is holding a sort of a negative feeling, vibration of how it's created, why is it created. And then you've got, then compounded with that, then spirituality with alcohol is then you sort of moving from a sense of, sort of, it completes me because it suppresses my true feeling of self. Okay, then we've got another bottle of wine over here, and you've got a positive perspective on it, which we're going to look at in a second. But if we sort of carry it over from how it's created, from its creation, is then it's maybe it's made out of organic content, is that it's from an aware source. There's an awareness about it. The vibration of it is of a higher vibration, so it's a higher vibe creation of the alcohol itself. So it holds a different vibration because the creation of it is coming from heart. Okay. Now, what is alcohol made out of? It's made out of, say if it's wine, it's made out of grape. Okay, so if you've got the content inside of it from either this way or this way, we've got, say, alcohol with grape. It's also, maybe if it goes into whiskey, because I went to a distillery, if you go into whiskey, then it moves into adding yeast in. It might make beer, it might make this, it might make that. And so how it's created is coming from plant. Okay, so it comes from plant. What else happens with plant medicine? It could be maybe weed, it could be cannabis, or it could be the ayahuasca. I don't know how to spell it, but I'm just put aya. It could be tobacco, tobacco. Why don't I spell it that? Yeah, it doesn't matter the spelling of it. Okay, it's the word. And how do we perceive it to be, the word? Is it coming from a negative thing, that weed is bad or ayahuasca is bad or this or this or this? If it's a plant, it's coming from nature. And if it's coming from nature, then it's going to hold the vibration of nature. But how do we perceive it? Do we perceive it all to be a positive or a negative? It's our mind also then creates. Okay. How do we perceive it all to be? How is it that the consumption of this alcohol is going to then create from the mind a perception of the experience? Now we come here to experience upon the earth. Okay. On the earth, embodied as human. Okay. If we look at then the perception of taking alcohol, is then we can then move into here. Is it that the intention is actually that we want to connect to the creation? Is there information within the drink that has been created from an awareness to interpret the alcohol into the experience of being human? The perception of partaking in alcohol can be then seen from a very, very different perspective, can it not? So when we're moving through our spiritual journey, we want to not have alcohol because we perceive alcohol to be very negative. But is it? When there are so many people that are actually creating consciously a beautiful product that is a creation upon the planet for us as human to experience, from non-escapism into the creation of the product of saying, picking some whiskey and sipping it and smelling it, experiencing it, tracing back the sense of creation with our mind and getting downloads of information from the product that is the desired effect of the connection to it, and not the probability of getting drunk. It's the connection to the senses that enable us to see it for what it is, and not the experience from a negative perspective of what we perceive it to have been as an issue to suppress humanity, but the experience of it that is a creation that enables you to enhance the experience. Just like these perspectives up here, do we see it as being negative or positive? There's no judgment within any of this from me, so that I'm not taking one side or another. I'm just presenting this sense of remembrance of the journey, of duality within our experience. Okay, so we have the connection to the alcohol itself. We have the perceived idea of the code that is held within it. Our intention is to celebrate and to honor the creation, and with that then we can connect to outward forces into different realities. Now we could say then the experience then, if we're coming from a negative perspective, could actually then connect you with the lower fourth and entity attachment. N-E-T. See, I'm really good at spelling. Entity attachments. You go in drunk, somebody from an outward source comes in because you created space, and then you fulfill it with an entity attachment because it's a spirit that enters your energetic field. Negative perspective of it then creates that experience. Your body is taken over by a beingness that you created. Your perception moves out of the body, and there's the alignment to that experience, right? That's what most spiritual people would think of. But also, let's then sort of see with all of this side of the perspective or reality of drinking said alcohol, that we have an honouring of a download of the movement into I savour, I honour. It is a ritual. It is something that I am experiencing from a conscious perspective, that it opens my energetic field up. Now, within that experience, coming from this perspective, we get a completely different perspective, totally, because when you are completely in your fortified field of light, that as you open your energetic field up, if you was going to do an ayahuasca or a weed or a tobacco, any sort of ritual that brings in, or even a cacao or anything like that, we're connecting with the source to open us up into higher levels of consciousness. But are we coming from a negative perspective of self because we're not self-aware of the reality itself, that we're not aware of the lower fourth? It's going to create from that perspective. And what I'm saying is, I'm just presenting to you, just for your awareness and openness to receive, is that when we are understanding who I am, that I am a sovereign being of light, and as I enter into the and out of the illusionary field of this perspective of reality, is that as I partake into drinking some whiskey or some wine or whatever it may be, that I'm in a situation where I'm honouring it, then I can open up into a deeper knowing and connection into self, just like an ayahuasca retreat or any of it. It is an outside perspective to enable me to grow, or is it actually that, oh my God, you shouldn't be drinking? We are judging, aren't we, at that point of the experience that is being created by others that disallow us to grow into the connection to the creation from somebody that's consciously creating. Alamakianta a lakiata, mo krabakianta dasha. It is the element, the code that sits within the plant that we are connecting to, and the creators of the plant mix to enable us to grow into the connection to oneness. Now, if we move into the fourth connection, into higher mind connection, we are fortifying it with our light and connecting with it, not in bringing it in and creating an experience that holds a negative perspective of it by getting drunk. Again, getting balance within alcohol. Having it as 1 or 2 glasses is not going to get you drunk. It may be that you're going through a phase of dry and not drinking alcohol, but it might be that there is a journey where maybe you will bring in it back into your life, just like I did. I went through completely not drinking for 5 years or so, maybe with the odd occasion. But then am I drinking because it is a negative thing that completes me because I'm drowning my sorrow, which I used to be completely every night for a very long time, or which most people that are in their awakened journey will be creating that sort of sense of drinking because of that, which is this. But when we consciously connect to something that is so divinely created, that we honor it for what it is, that we know who we are, that we are setting a ritual into the senses of the experience of being human, of the experience of the creation from others, is that we can then move into being consciously aware as when we open up our energy to the creation of these plant medicines, to enable us to perceive it from a positive experience rather than a negative one. Now, I'm not endorsing going out and buying yourself a bottle of whiskey or, and a glass of wine. What I'm saying is don't judge others for the wanting to still be spiritual and on their journey and partake in a glass of wine or two. Okay, so don't beat yourself up because there's somebody that says you should be raw vegan and you shouldn't be drinking and you should be sitting on a hill meditating 24/7. If it is your journey to do that, fabulous. But if you want to connect with other people and have a glass of wine, then so be it. But be conscious of the fact of the creation of it and bring in the notes of the senses of the creation and the connection to it consciously in balance. Don't get yourself drunk and overindulge into a stupor, but open up into the connection to it and allow yourself to be consciously connecting to it without judgment of others, without judgment of yourself. It's just a pure creation of the connection and the awareness of the openness into the field of the fourth dimension as you bring in spirit. Is it the connection that will be attracted to the energy that will be of a higher vibration of guidance? And within all of that guidance will then help you see who you are deeper into your energy, into the oneness of who you are. Just like if you went on an ayahuasca retreat, say, or cannabis connection, or however it is our alignment to it. And alcohol is exactly the same. It's all created from plant. And I know you'll understand it by now if you got to this point and not switched me off by now. But it's something that we need to be aware of is, it's okay. It's all right to do that. Give yourself permission to be open to do that if you feel it is coming from a place of a stable, neutral perspective of it and a non-judgment of it, of, oh my God, I'm gonna go back into that. No, you won't. It's the strength that you hold within that allows you to align to the connection, not the repercussions of an old cycle or pattern. Obviously, if somebody has gone through a trauma with alcohol, then this will probably trigger you. But why is it triggering you? It's the deep core wound within you. It is not the substance. Okay, so it is not the alcohol. It is not the smoking. It is not the weed. It is how you perceive it to be. It's the healing journey, and it is a tool to assist you to open up into higher levels of consciousness. If you do or if you don't, just disregard that. It is not the detail. The detail is your perception and how you interact with this external connection. It's just like clothes, isn't it? It's like, oh, I'd only wear this or only wear that. It's the connection to the vibration of the clothes. It's not the judgment of the clothes itself. It's anything. It's far beyond our perception of reality that we're connecting to. But when we're consciously connecting to any of it, it allows us to connect to it in such a way of a positive perspective of duality rather than a negative perspective of reality. And as we're all creators, then let's allow ourselves to create with experiencing of being human. And I'm wittering on now. No. Okay, anything else, please? So just sort of settle that within. And if you've been in and on a journey of torment from a negative perspective of drugs and drink and creation of that, it is to see the journey of the healing within it that allows you to move through the trauma of it. So I'm not belittling anybody's experiencing it, whether it's you from a personal perspective or from a relative. What it is important for us to see, it is not the alcohol or the word of the alcohol or the connection to lower fourth. It is your conscious perspective of aligning to the experience. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So wounded warrior, you're going to be triggered. If you're moving into inner light, wisdom within, you'll see what it is that I'm saying here. Okay, that. There are so many truths upon the plate. Which truth are you going to pick? This reality is so much to do with interpretation. And just allow yourself just to sit with this and how it aligns to your own truth. Okay? It was really interesting, actually. I'll put a little bit of back history into why is it that this is sort of coming into my life. I'm going to put that video on my membership and onto my Patreon. So if you want to know about my journey within this, I'll put that video up at the same time as this gets posted, or just a bit before. And it'll go on early bird on Patreon. So if you want to join me on that, it would be wonderful. There is a free membership on Patreon also, so if you want to join me on there. And also if you want to work with me one-to-one, it's nicolalight.com if you want to work with me there. So yeah, I think that's it. So hope you're all doing well. And yeah, cheers. Okay, take care everyone. Bye.